Final race of the FIA Motorsport Games, the final activity to enable nations to win medals, is about to get underway here at Vallelunga. Welcome to this great Italian circuit. We are 20 miles north of Rome. We've had a great weekend of action from single-seaters, touring cars and GT cars, from drifting, from karting on the slalom and even digital motorsport as well. And now the final 60-minute GT Cup main race about to get underway with the grid based on points scored in the two qualifying races, and this promises to be quite some race. It is dry just about, but it's still threatening rain here at Vallelunga as we get set. David Addison and John Watson trackside, and it's a very jumbled grid for this final race. Watty, it is a race perhaps that's really difficult to predict a winner in.
It certainly is, and we've had a lot of unpredictability throughout the weekend, largely due to the weather, bearing in mind that we've had rain, storms, rain showers. Everything is up in the air, so let's wait and see when the lights go out.
Now, we've had two races thus far, both of which have been weather affected. The first one started in the dry, and it had Hiroshi Hamaguchi for Japan on pole position alongside Salih Yonic for Turkey, reigning FIA GT Nations Cup winners, the forerunner to this great event. But it wasn't long before the rain started to fall, and that was as we approached the pit stop window. We had some lively racing, though, going on in the early stages as the cars poured their way down through turn one, with the pack, of course, all representing their nations, many driver partnerships, new, different co-drivers, some drivers, new car, new team, lots of unknowns in all of this. However, Hamaguchi driving for the FFF racing team as he had done within the main Blancpain GT season, well at home in that car, and he led over the opening laps. But drama on lap one for Q8 off the road with sizable damage. Khalid Al-Murhaf, and that brought out the first safety car. Then we lost Miguel Ramos for Portugal, and the Turkish car that he was trying to overtake was given a post-race penalty for forcing him off the road effectively. Then there was more drama, suspension damage to the back of the Swiss Lamborghini, and Christoph Lenz had a big spin and eventually headed to the pit lane. The car rejoined 3 laps down. Paul in off the road in the Hong Kong Honda. He got back into the race sharing with Marchi Lee, but was excluded from race 1 for too much turbo boost. Paul in, a significant player this weekend, his company having built all the and prepared all the Formula 4 single-seaters. A spin for Spain, beached on a curb. That happened as we approached the pit window. France into the gravel and the rain starting to fall, and the race director decided at that point to stop the race. Red flag, people came into the pit lane and changed onto wet tyres. Then the confusion started because the clock didn't stop, but time was added on after people had left the pit lane, and those that had decided to stay on wets because the slicks wouldn't warm up then found themselves really badly compromised because the extra time meant the slicks wouldn't warm up. But they went racing though. It was another very lively affair, and for the Danish nation, Christina Nielsen was charging her way forward in the Honda. We had this big slide from Australia as around went Stephen Grove, just avoided by the traffic. Charging through on the inside though was the Germany Porsche, and Stefan Göring having started, giving way to Alfred Ranauer. Chinese Taipei had a loss of fuel pressure and retired for the pit lane. Nico Verdonk was on the back of Denmark looking for a way past Christina Nielsen, got through but ran out of road at turn 4. He finished 3rd on the road, but sadly a post-race penalty dropped that Belgian entry to 8th as Germany won race 1 thanks to the combined efforts of Stefan Göring and Alfred Ranauer. It was a good win for Germany, and that gave them 1 point because it is a point per place. That would put them at the top, if you like, of the grid as we got set for race 2, which was at the start of today. Standalone qualifying session, so a different grid, different weather conditions to start with as well. It was a very wet road, so it was a safety car start, but it wasn't long before the rain worsened. This time it was GT rookie Ukiyo Sasahara that led from Jim Pla. Louis Machiels was on the attack for Belgium, trying to get himself up through the traffic, trying to find traction, trying to find visibility, trying to find a way through by admittedly going offline where the track surface might be worse. We lost spectacularly Russia off into the barriers. Denis Bulatov with a badly damaged Rinaldi Racing Ferrari as Jim Pla made his move against Sasahara in torrential rain round the outside. It was a great move, it put him into the lead. Jim Pla for ACA ASP for France, taking the lead as off went Wairon Tam for Malaysia. Also off was Giorgio Roda, and that meant that with cars stranded and with the rain being absolutely torrential, it was a red flag once again, and the cars headed down the pit lane. Drivers headed for comfort, and about an hour or so later, a green flag got the action back underway with the sun trying to break through. It was still a damp and slippery road, and it wasn't long this time around before Japan started to surge forward. Now that said, Hiroshi Hamaguchi, because we'd had all the driver changes in that intermission within the race, Hamaguchi made errors. Here was one at turn 8. He was pushing hard. The Lamborghinis all seemed to like these conditions. For example, that was Christoph Lenz charging through, and another of the Lamborghinis, that of Andrei Lewandowski, the green Polish entry, that was another car tigering its way through, good enough to put Poland on pole for the main race. Off went Denmark, Jens Müller, and that car had another incident. It would ingest all sorts of debris, overheat the engine, and that is now withdrawn from the main race. Louis Machiels threw in robust fashion up against Switzerland to gain 1 position. China into the back of America. That was a real slap dunk that put Robert Ferriol in the gravel and gave a penalty to China. Spain up on the inside of Denmark, up on the inside of Germany. 3 wide around turn 7. Spectacular stuff. The road drying out, drivers getting more grit and more commitment. Then Turkey and China got together. Neither thought it was their fault, neither nation terribly amused. Then we had Denmark into the back of Italy. Italy was a lap down anyway, and that contact, I'm afraid, did absolutely no good to the Honda. Turkey versus China. Contact. Penalty of 30 seconds to Turkey. Penalty to China for that second retaliation. So, through the melee, Japan scored honours in the second race and will start 3rd on the grid, thanks to the efforts of Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Ukyo Sasahara. So Japan comes here with a real chance of winning the GT Cup. Hiroshi Hamaguchi will start the main race. 60 minutes of action is going to be getting underway very shortly. So the grid is formed. There's one car that will have to start from the pit lane, and that is Hong Kong. There's one car not starting, as I say, and that is Denmark, both of which, incidentally, are Hondas run by the Renault Racing Team, Jens Müller's squad. So the flags, the teams, the personnel, the VIPs, everybody is down there. And let us try and catch up with the pole-sitting nation. The Poles are on pole. Andrei Lewandowski and Artur Janos represent their nation. Our reporter Dakota Jane is on the grid.
Arthur, this is going to be a difficult race. You're starting on pole, though. What a good place to start. Nice to see Poland represented here at the Motorsport Games. You happy with that?
Yeah, it's a great feeling to be on pole position. It was a tough weekend for us, especially for qualifying, but then races we managed to score the pole position in this race. We don't know what to do with the tires. We are looking for other cars. One of them are putting slicks, one of them are on wets, and we are still on slicks, on wet tires, but we don't know what to exactly do. Whether it's changing every 5 minutes will be a big gamble.
Is this exactly what you were talking about with Andrea in the car just earlier?
Yeah. Like, how does it feel to be on the slicks or no, on wets? On on the track. So he said at the moment is wet, but maybe in 2-3 laps it might be.
Ooh, here the guns going. Does that mean you're changing?
So probably you know more. We can.
Yes, look, the slicks are coming out. Let's see how it goes. Thank you very much, Arthur.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Dakota. Right, you've only got another 21 cars to check for us now, because if anybody is starting on wets, I suspect, John, they're going to find themselves on the back foot.
It will be a gamble, undoubtedly, because if you're the one out of order with everybody else, then you're the one that's going to be the loser. The difficulty is the weather has been so unpredictable, and these pulses of rain have come in so rapidly, and it's been so intense that if you're on a set of slicks and everybody else is on wets, you're just, that's it, all done. On the other hand, the rain that has fallen just in the last 10 minutes has been relatively light, and it would be maybe a courageous move to take the pain of the first 5 or 10 laps, possibly, when you were at a slight disadvantage, to gain an advantage once the track then began to dry out, and then you've got the slick tire working to your advantage. So, I mean, Lewandowski or Artur Janos, they don't know what to do, and I mean, really, probably what they're doing is following what everybody else is doing.
Well, here the trend is set. Slicks for the front row of the grid then. That's Germany. That is the car of Stefan Göring, the Porsche, run by the Renault team. Their third on the grids is Japan, and that looks slick to me.
My instinct would be, okay, we're not all weather guards, we don't know what's going to happen, but the conditions are such that it'll not be an easy opening 3 or 4 laps on slick tires, but it looks to me to be the right choice at this point. Give it 5 minutes, maybe I'll be wrong.
Now, we've been told that it was going to pour with rain at 1 o'clock, but
well,
so far so good.
Pouring with rain, lightning, and the weather was going to be horrendous. So the weather front that has hit Italy, that has been in effect relatively generous here this morning and into the afternoon, but there's still another hour racing to go, and a lot and anything could take place.
Very true. Louis Machiels for Belgium, 4th on the grid. He will start on slicks. Real change for him after years of racing GT cars into an Audi now. He's done so much in Ferraris, but having to get used to a whole new car, new team as well, Attempto Racing. Right, what are Germany up to? Stefan Göring and Alfred Renauer share the German entry, the Porsche on the outside of the front row of the grid, and Dakota is down there.
I am with the Renauer brothers. Now they're just making some last-minute changes to the tires. Whose decision was that? Yours?
Half and a half, yeah. I would say it's more comfortable for the bronze driver to go with rain tire, especially under these conditions. For sure, it's gambling and you can win or lose. That's the game, and yeah, we will see what happens.
But you're not the brother who's racing this weekend. You are. Are you going to be confident on those wet tires when you get in the car? Do you think it's going to rain?
Yes, I'm really sure it will rain again. Probably not as much as today morning, but it will be wet conditions, and I think it's better for our bronze driver to start on wet.
Let's see if you made the right gamble. Good luck.
Interesting that. So they were on slicks, they're going back to wet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a gamble you take. I mean, if you put your bronze driver in the car first and the conditions deteriorate and you're on slicks, that's going to make it very difficult. So it's something that teams are going to consider. I mean, for the silver drivers who would be able to maybe handle these circumstances, Flick Haig, I wonder what set of tyres she's got on.
Anna Christodoulou there leans in. It's Phil Glue crouching down by the side of the car as a kind of driver coach and helper this weekend.
Get the suspicion that she's on slicks.
There's Chris Froggatt looking a bit pensive.
I think it's going to be wet. Looking at it, it's getting...
Anna Christodoulou said it's going to be wet.
Rain
so
in the lens.
They are on slicks at the moment, but still pondering whether it's worth going on to wet tyres. So the Team Great Britain squad ponder. We're back on the grid.
Yukio, now it's very difficult to determine whether it's going to be wet or dry tires. Yeah. People are changing by the second. You guys are now on slick tires. Yeah. Is this a good move for Hiroshi, who's starting in the car?
Well, I mean, any tire, whatever he put, I mean, he will be fine. So I'm trust all the guys. And yeah, it's really tricky. Now it starts to be raining. We're on slicks, but we'll see last minute. Maybe we will decide the decision. Very,
very, very last minute. Now, yesterday you were exceptionally quick during the race. You had even the fastest lap of the race. Can you make the same today?
I will do it.
Very good. Go Japan.
There's confidence for you. But what they're not confident in is the choice of tyre yet. Wet standing by then.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the majority are going to make a last-minute switch to wet tyres just simply because of the uncertainty. If it does start to rain once this race gets underway, they don't want to have to lose time coming into the pits to make a tyre change and then get back out again. Track position loss against potential gains if it doesn't rain, with the track maybe developing a slight dry-ish line where then you would benefit from being on slick. So it's a real, I mean, nobody knows. It's the toss of the dice. You go on your instincts, and certainly if you're putting in your bronze driver for the start of this race, then you might want to give that driver the benefit of the security of the wet weather tyre.
Looks like slicks currently on Belarus's Ferrari, but that could be changing.
Well, the wets are sitting there all set to go. But as you say, the car's up at the jacks, and it only takes a few seconds for that change. The question is, how much more time have these teams got on the grid before they've got to clear the grid, and then there'll be another 5 or so minutes before the race will then get underway. Looking into the busy cockpit of the Ferrari.
Now, what about Team GB? Chris Froggatt will do the second stint. What about tyres here? He's with Dakota.
Chris, a nice bit of British weather for us, isn't it, down here? Wow, it's very windy as well. Tyre choice? I think
wet. Yeah, wet tyres, I think. I think we see the rain is going to come, and we're taking a gamble on the wets, but it's very tricky now. It could easily be slicks with this little level of rain now. We're just taking a gamble. There's going to be a lot more to come.
And obviously now we've had 2 races. Whose are your eyes on for the competition?
everyone's strong. Yeah, it's really competitive this year, so I'm not sure. It's going to be a really tough race, but you know, we're going to try our best and see what happens.
Very good luck. You definitely have the advantage here.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, I think we were right in assuming that Nick Haig was on slick tyres. That was my instinct. But the team have made a judgment, and I think that's going to be the judgment that's going to go all the way down this pit lane. That people will make that last-minute switch if they're not already on wet weather tyres. They're going to put them on, just simply because it's the safer avenue to go down. And if the track all of a sudden goes dry, well, then everybody's going to have to file into the pits and put on a set of slicks. But the likelihood of that occurring in the first half of this race is unlikely. The chance when it may occur will be at the pit stop window, when then you do your driver change and you can make your choice of tyre choice at that stage.
Pole position car, look, he's up on the jacks again, so I suspect that Poland is going back from slicks to wets.
Yeah.
Especially if this rain is starting to fall now. As we say.
I'm assuming that everybody will. Once you see one person, one team doing it, then you think, well, it gets in your head. There's the weather that's coming in. That isn't going to be 25 in the shade, dry track. So, you know, even Einstein might have worked that one out.
It's very different from Bahrain last year, isn't it, where we had the first FIA GT Nations Cup, which is the forerunner to this event. This first Motorsport Games has grown out of that. It's been a really successful weekend.
Absolutely. I think it's been a great weekend, and I've enjoyed the variety of disciplines. The on-track ones, I've not really seen many. That's a wet weather tyre too.
Yeah, so that's a change, isn't it, from the pole car back to wets.
So, you know, a combination of the touring cars, the GT cars, these new Formula 4s specifically built for this event, I think it's been a great success, and I've really enjoyed watching the future generations racing, and that's what I really enjoy.
Breeze is picking up, isn't it? Look at the flags fluttering there now.
It's been fluttering really all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody's been in the grid, so the wind's coming, or it is getting up, and that's what's driving in this cloud base, and it's a lowish cloud base.
So teams getting ready. Our camera crew, all the marshals still out in the elements. Our thanks to them for all that they are doing. And very shortly, things will be getting underway to get this main race underway. Race officials then down in the pit lane. It's getting very blowy.
Yeah, the grid girls with their umbrellas really struggling to hold on to those because the wind is strong down there.
Now, what's Belgium done? Nico Verdonk stands aside the car. It was on slicks. Have they gone onto wets with that car? I suspect they have, but it's really hard to
difficult to
see those. You peer in.
It is
wets, on
yeah,
wets. Yeah, so that's another late change for that car that is fourth on the grid. Let's go back to the grid.
Evan, we haven't heard very much from Chinese Taipei, but you guys were looking pretty quick yesterday. Now you're starting quite a few places back, but as we saw yesterday, anything can happen.
Yeah, so race one we had like low fuel pressure issue. That's why we retired at the end, which was unfortunate. Otherwise, I think we are up for a pretty good result as well. There was more lucky. Kind of got through the treacherous first stint, so up to P6, and then Hans took over, which is okay, and then everyone just started falling off the track because it's quite tough out there, which luckily we got P3 at the end, and luckily we end up in the middle of the pack and not behind the pack. So I think we can do something from here, and hopefully we get it done.
As we can hear the wheel guns going behind you, you have made, I think, your final choice for wets. Is that a good choice?
I don't think there's much choice, to be honest. The weather is so in between now. Sometimes sparkles a little bit, sometimes just dry. But on the outlap, they say it would be dry, but right now it doesn't look like it. So we'll see.
There's only two choices, 50-50. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Chinese Taipei with Evan Chen there, the driver. He is the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia champion this year.
Well, he's familiar with the Lamborghini. That is certainly helpful, but with the uncertainty, and of course great for us, great for the audience, great for the spectators here, predictability is the dearth of motorsport. So now we've got a situation where the rain is falling. It's not heavy, but it could change in a very short space of time. The pit stop window will appear 25 minutes in for 10 minutes, and then when the driver tyre change is made, you can go from wets to slicks, or stick with wets if you so choose. Unpredictability, love it.
What we haven't yet had in any of the GT races, either of them this weekend, is a proper pit stop, because all those have been done under red flags. It should be 65 seconds line to line, but we haven't seen the teams actually have to serve a proper regulation pit stop, have we?
Hopefully we will see that later this afternoon. Well, the wind clearly has picked up. You just see the nation's flags almost horizontal. So wind is considerable. That will bring in the rain. And happy days, as they say, from the commentary booth.
Yes, that's right. Wets for Australia. What about Switzerland? They are on the 6th row. Christoph Letz, Patrick Niederhauser with Dakota.
Now, Patrick, coming from Switzerland, you guys seem to be pretty confident with driving in any kind of conditions, considering as you've chosen to stay on slicks.
Yeah, well, we already had any kind of condition during that weekend. So, yeah, we decided to stay on slicks. I think for that very moment, it should be the good choice. Obviously, we don't know what's coming up. We expect also some rain, but let's see how it goes.
Well, to be honest with you, if we haven't had any last-minute tyre changes, everyone in front of you is on wets.
All right, then we can be either lucky or not. So, yeah, let's see. It's a long race. It's going to be a tough race. So, yeah, we'll see. Anything can happen.
Let's see if luck goes in favour of Switzerland. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Another experienced driver is Patrick Niederhauser, but of course the guy that's going to cop for all this on the slicks is the bronze driver, the less experienced, the AM.
It's ironic the most conservative country in Central Europe is the country that's throwing the dice and rolling out on slicks. I mean, is Germany safe in Switzerland after all?
Go and ask a neighbour of Zurich. There is the Swiss car then. What about France? Well, Jean-Luc Bobelik will go first. He's going to be on wets, I would have thought, because Jean-Luc is pretty steady competitor. Yeah, that looks like wets, doesn't it?
You can see the tread blocks through the guard of the car. No, I mean, look, when everybody on the grid makes that last switch to wet weather tyres, the fact that Switzerland hasn't done it, it could be an inspired choice. David, I've done the inspired choice. Roll the dice, nothing to lose. Well, 3 laps into the race, it came down and bucket loads, and he had to go into the pit, so it was a total waste of time. Luckily at the time my boss was a gambler, certain Mr. Bernard Charles Eccleston, so it was his good idea to do something that nobody else in the grid was doing.
Blame him. I wonder what Turkey have done, because that's a nation a long way back on the grid. Last year's Nations Cup winners, only 16th on the grid after 2 really frustrating races. Let's find what France is up to, because Jim Pla is on the grid and he's with Dakota.
Now, Jim, the last time the rain came out, you guys struggled a little bit. Today, could be a hit, could be a miss. What do you feel?
You know, since the beginning of the weekend, it's like that. So we opt for the rain now because we put new wet tire on the car. So let's see in a few minutes, but finger crossed.
How has your coaching gone?
Hope it really works.
Allez le bleu, let's go.
Well, I think Jim was pretty impressive on the wet. I remember going around the outside of turn 10, around the leading Lamborghini, but it was when Jean-Luc Bobelik got behind the wheel, then there was, you might say, riding along on the crest of a slump in that case.
Turkey was the last one I was just pondering about. Tyres, what has Salih Yoluc gone for? The answer is...
Those are slicks. I bet. You sure? Yeah, they are wet.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's a nation that might roll the dice because they're that far back. They might think, well, what have we got to lose? That's the same old story of rolling the dice and gambling. So.
Oh, now.
And those look like slicks.
Oh, ooh. Are you sure?
It's Italy on slicks. Local knowledge possibly rolling into look at the clouds rolling and talking about a bit of local knowledge. If those clouds decide to hang over the circuit for any duration of time, you're in for a ride dousing. And that's the America Ferrari. Very brave. The one thing about the Ferrari is it's probably the most compliant of all the chassis that are racing here this afternoon. It's the most user-friendly. It's the one that I think a lot of the AM drivers that we see in Blancpain Championship, they find it works best for them. So it is essentially a race car that's been adapted to road car use, whereas pretty much every other car on the grid is a road car that's been adapted to racing usage.
So there is the grid formed, and Japan is on wet now, we understand. That's back at the front of the grid. So the ones to watch are going to be Italy, Switzerland and America. There might be 1 or 2 others that have gone on to slicks that we didn't catch in time, but we'll soon see, because it's either going to be the right or the wrong choice, and you'll see people rise or fall quite spectacularly.
Well, I think the slick runners will fall back pretty much immediately, because the gain that the wet weather runners will have, even on a track that isn't fully wet, will be significant. So it's whether the track will remain without a deluge, or, well, that's the question everybody's tried to answer the best way they possibly can. Some are going to be right, some are going to be wrong. We'll wait and see.
So we're going to have a proper rolling start. It's just the one formation lap, so no safety car start. The drivers, probably the race director feels, have had enough of experience now, enough exposure of wet and dry mixed conditions. The road is not totally bone dry, is it?
No, but that's dry enough for a slick tyre. But it's what it's like in turn 2, where they dive down to the right and you've got that slightly cambered, and then you've got the quick flick back to the left, which is more of a curve than a corner. Then the braking down into turn 4, and then there was the run up from 4 up through 6 and into 7. So here now, I would say anybody who's on a set of slicks would probably be thinking they're maybe making the right decision. But it's not about the moment, it's about the duration, the 1 hour. That's dry up there. Look, there's no problem whatsoever with a set of slicks here.
So the grid is Poland and Germany on the front row as we get set then for this main race. The cars working their way around the formation lap with Japan and Belgium on row 2, Great Britain and Thailand on row 3. The fourth row is Belarus and Australia. Then you've got Chinese Taipei and Portugal, interestingly, with Enrique Chavez going first in that car rather than Miguel Ramos. On the next row of the grid, it is Spain and Switzerland. Switzerland, we know, is on slicks ahead of China and France. Wets we saw for both of those. Then you've got Italy, slicks it looked like. Wets for Turkey, lining up alongside. Also slicks for America, Rob Ferriol, the Russian Ferrari on the inside of that row, ahead of Kuwait and Malaysia. And then Hong Kong starting from the pit lane. So Paul in the Honda doesn't even get a formation lap, can't get any warmth into his tyres. He's condemned to starting from the pit lane, having been excluded from one of the earlier qualifying races.
Yeah, he doesn't even get the benefit of a sighting lap to know what it's going to be like when he leaves the pit lane and gets on with the programme.
In Akil's view then, it could be a dark horse. If there's a safety car within the AMS stint, then that puts the emphasis on the pro drivers, makes them do more of the work in the second. And Hong Kong has gone on to wets in the pit lane, I understand. So Paul Ib has gone on to wets in the pit lane. Not seen the circuit, but it's a gamble that they're going to take on the wet tyres.
It's the safe option. I mean, you want to roll the dice, take the option that everybody else, the bulk of the field, have chosen to do. So, but certainly what I've seen of the track from the onboard shots and the camera at various corners, I would be choosing a set of slicks as well.
Car in, is that Italy, which I think we've seen on slicks. Also coming in is Russia. It's Belarus, in fact, Russia and Kuwait. I reckon if they were on slicks, they're thinking it's time to go on to wet. So those three are going to start from the pit lane. So that's Belarus in, it is Russia in, it is Kuwait in as well. We haven't seen what the other two had done, but Belarus was on slicks when we last looked as the race is about to get underway. Then an hour of racing. The GT Cup main race in the FIA Motorsport Games is good. It's a good start by Lewandowski for Poland to lead them down towards turn 1. Up into second place goes Japan. Hiroshi Hamaguchi goes ahead of Germany. Stefan Göring under attack from Belgium. Louis Mackin is in the Audi. He's right there. Look at Chavez for Portugal, right round the outside. That was very close indeed.
That was aggressive. Very aggressive indeed through turn 3. Everybody kind of gets it together. Porsche on the outside of turn 4, being squeezed up, and then coming out again. Porsche just dropped back, losing 2 positions. The Knuckles and the second Porsche coming up alongside as well. So 3 Porsches all coming together.
So here they come up towards turn 7. Lewandowski leading then in the Lamborghini as they turn their way through the corner. There you've got the Porsches together with Thailand looking for a way past Germany. But Lewandowski for Poland it is that has the advantage at the moment on this seemingly dry-ish road.
Yeah, I'm slightly confused of why those 3 cars came in, because I would have stayed on slicks if they were on it, because the track conditions to me didn't look sufficiently bad, as maybe looking further down the road as to what's going to come in the next 5 minutes might have persuaded them to go on to the wets. But Japan looking to close up as quickly as possible on Poland as they go into turn 10. Everybody on a racing lap for the first time through turn 10. They will find out, but Japan looks to me to be the quicker of these 2 Lamborghinis. Poland had the benefit of the start, but up the inside comes the Audi, and that's going to put pressure on Hiroshi Hamagashi.
Now I'm told that those 3 that we saw coming into the pit lane have all gone on to slicks. So Belarus, Russia, Kuwait are all going on to the slick tyres. We need to be looking at Switzerland, don't we, amongst others. Now there is confirmation.
Yeah, that's what I saw from the outlap.
So on to slicks goes Kuwait, Belarus and Russia, and Spain is in strife coming out of turn 13. Race leaders go through. It's Poland leading Japan, Portugal up to third, Belgium fourth, Thailand fifth, sixth is Australia. But look at the way that there Portugal is pushing right all over the back now. Belgium, we've had a change of place there, haven't we? Belgium has gone ahead of Portugal for third place. Louis Machiels gains one spot.
Out of his skin. I mean, that was aggressive. So there's the Spain car once again getting rolling. But Louis Machiels is driving a very, very strong race indeed.
He is. He's an experienced campaigner, but not in this car. He's now under attack from the Thailand Porsche. Buttigieg in for a Puvasak. But look at the lead gap. It was 0.4 of a second as they came then down towards the right-hander of turn 7. So through they will turn. Now, did those cars changing onto slicks lose a lap? I don't think they did. We'll check in a moment as the cars come down towards turn 8. There you have got in the lead Lewandowski.
Poor teamwork if they did lose a lap, because they shouldn't take that length of time to come in, do the pit stop, get back out again.
So there you see the cars diving down the pit lane on the inside, hidden behind the green wall as they turn through, and the race start. There they all come trickling in, look to pit in on the left as you look, but the cars up to the line, ready to accelerate away. And as they did so, good getaway by Lewandowski. Pulls across defend, but then opened up the door for Hamaguchi to move through into second place against Germany.
Yeah, big loser really is Stefan Göring, who was on the front row of the grid. He's dropped back on the opening lap. Down to 6th place there is Göring in the red. Porsche about to get mullered by Louis Machiels amongst others.
Now Christoph Lenz, 10th, he is on slicks. He's one to watch to see how those tyres are going to work. This is on board with Hamaguchi off the line.
Well, that Lamborghini ahead of us is on slicks. It ought to pull away from the Lamborghini, being very cautious and tentative. Here is the start. There's the Porsche, followed by Louis Machiels in the Audi. He was kind of backed up. The Porsche didn't get off the grid quite so quickly, and that allowed the Japan Lamborghini to slot into second place going into turn 2. And then Machiels gets, well, it's just gone nuts around the outside.
And into the pits has come Turkey. So there is Salih Yoluç to go on to slicks. So that could be another inspired choice. Yes, they lose time now, but they should be able to make that back up. So those on wets potentially going to start struggling because the grip level is going to be changing through the signal. They're all looking really skittish going up here into turn 7.
Yeah, I mean, the lap time that we're seeing right now is 1:43 bits and pieces. And a set of slicks, they should be able to do at least 7 to 8 seconds a lap quicker than that, even with these conditions.
And Spain's coming in as well. So after the spin, presumably that is going to put that car onto slick tyres. So the wet race, in a sense, that you're looking at is Poland versus Japan. And the fastest lap thus far has been done by Q8 on a slick tyre. So it is a no-brainer, isn't it?
And that's over 2 seconds quicker than what has been the fastest lap of the lead car, which is a 1:43.7 as opposed to a 1:41.0.
And this is for the lead of
slick track.
This is for the lead of the race now. Look, Japan all over the back of Poland. They're delaying one another anyway by squabbling a really sideways. Portugal is third. Enrique Chavez then for the single-seater racer. Fourth is Thailand, the Porsche. And there's a yellow flag waving there, look, coming out of turn 13. So there is drama up the road, seemingly, as they come through. That's Britain going for the pit lane. Flick Haig going for slicks.
Yes.
Indeed, and America on slicks are spun.
So that's down at turn 10. Robert Varel having an eventful weekend.
He is that.
I have to say.
Right. So Spain's got a lap down, look, as the leaders go over the timing line now. But a 1:41 on slicks and a 1:44 at the moment on wet. Lewandowski under attack from Japan. Through goes Hamaguchi. Can he slow it down? Yes, he can. That was a really good pass.
Excellent, well-judged pass. Looked like he was maybe going to overrun the apex, but got it slowed down. Didn't lock up. Got the position. Watch again from on board the Japan Lamborghini. I mean, he's still on the throttle when the Poland Lambo is on the brakes, but Yamaguchi got it slowed down, didn't overrun, got back onto line. There you see a nod of approval, quite right, from Sasahara.
So Akira Sasahara will do the second stint in that Japan Lamborghini that now leads and is getting away from Poland. And Poland under attack from Portugal is up to attack here. Look comes Enrique Chavez, but through goes Thailand. Buttigieg in for Puvasak on the inside line for Thailand in the Porsche, making good progress.
I noticed the wipers in the Porsche were being intermittently used. There they are again. So maybe there is rain. Maybe those people that have chosen to come in fit on slicks took it for the moment, not for the future.
So everybody that we have seen pitting is going on to slicks. It is the only way. These drivers that are staying out are hoping they don't lose too much time and can coincide a tyre change with the driver change.
Yeah, I mean, Aston Martin, which is the quickest car on the circuit, has gone even quicker now. 1:40 against that of the race leader, 1:44.6, 4.5 seconds. quicker per lap advantage to the slick-tired Aston Martin.
That's Zaid Ashkanani at the wheel of the Q8 car, the one run by Optimum Motorsport, as Louis Machiels runs wide out of 13. He's on wets, don't forget, or we thought he was, but having a real man coming out of the corner. Spain's a lap down, needing to fight back. Leaders go across the line, and now this is for second place. Lewandowski just ahead of Intrapuvasat. That Porsche is going really nicely in these conditions. So Thailand on the back of Poland as they go through. Japan leading by a second and a half right now. Now, although the slick-shod cars are working better, what progress is being made? Christoph Lenz is up into 11th. Gianluca Roda is the best of those on slicks, I reckon, at the moment, in 8th place, 13 seconds back from the leader.
But his lap time is slower by about 2 seconds than the leading cars on wet weather tyres. So
yeah,
he's going to have to make a correction there.
Oh, he's stuck in traffic, isn't he? That's the problem. So he can't yet really exploit them because he's in the traffic, working his way through as Thailand comes up to attack Poland out of turn 7.
And they've got just more flat 6 grunt. Well, I thought I had more flat 6 grunt, but he's going to dive up the inside, try and take the position away. He's got side by side with the Poland Lamborghini. Will they both get through cleanly?
Let's see as their Spain unlaps itself, or tries to from Belgium. Yeah, Thailand up to second place. Fastest lap now, Q8 into the 139s. We're looking at about 5 seconds quicker. A quick slick car over a not so quick wet shod car at the moment. Ashkanani, don't forget, though, is a silver against many of the bronzes in this stint.
Yeah, but that 139 in these conditions is not a bad lap time, and it's only going to get better as long as the conditions don't deteriorate. There is a dry line. And where are you going to find damp patches to keep your wet weather tyres from degrading so much that you end up falling off the timing and scorings?
Now here's the charging Porsche. Vitokorn Intrapuvasat up into second place for Thailand, going after Japan. Third is Poland as they run through. It's looking like yellow flag being waved. Look in the background at turn 13. So as the cars accelerate their way by, the fastest lap is still to Q8, Zaid Ashkanani in the Optimum Motorsport run. Aston Martin, British GT team is 16th. Then it's a slick-shod Switzerland car that's off the road. That's the reason for the yellow. Lenz has done a bit of barrier damage. He's got going again, but that was a car on slick tyres.
Well, that was probably the only car that really was confident to run on slicks before this race got underway. And have they paid the price for that choice? Well, that may be part of the reason. Maybe there was other factors involved in the Lamborghini going off, but there's a lot of damage to the right front and the bodywork. I thought maybe he was going to pull into the pits because that'll probably become detached.
Don't think he did that on his own, did he?
Well, I don't know whether there was any assist from China in that or not, or whether I think he just overran the Mercedes going down and just tried to make the pass, couldn't get slowed down enough, and then had impact with the barrier.
We saw the American car off earlier. Robert Ferriol was involved with Christoph Lenz for Switzerland. So Switzerland-USA incident being investigated. Riding on board Italy now, and look at the way that Gianluca Roda gets involved. He gets turned around, off he goes on his slick tyres, he's across the grass, and Italy off the road. Now, can Roda recover?
Well, that was clearly a misjudgment, not by Italy, but simply because he was clear in this contact. Was it with Spain?
Seemingly, yeah.
Dear me, that was clumsy.
So Roda had got by.
Yeah, had done all the hard work,
yeah.
And he was clear, and all of a sudden the Lambo just slides across him. So let's watch again and see what happens coming into turn 8. Ferrari, remember, on slicks. So the Spain, oh, there it is, just yeah. Well, one was coming across the front of the other in effect. Probably Spain didn't even know the Ferrari was there.
Drive-through penalty for Switzerland for pushing another car. There is the recovering Spain, but off the road slides Portugal. Now that's the replay, and it's the contact that turned around Italy. So it was a real old scrum. Spain on the wrong lap anyway after its pit stop. Portugal slithered out wide. Spain tried to take advantage. Italy tried to take advantage and came off worse. Right, so here we go. End of now 6 laps. Lead gap is 2.6 seconds, and Japan is lapping quicker than Thailand, 1 and 2. There is Russia, delayed, of course, by a pit stop early on, but still the fastest laps are being done by cars on slick tyres.
And also the 2 lead cars by a significant margin, the quickest on the wet weather tyres while they're doing 145s. Those around are doing 149s and into almost the 150s.
Lap times are going up, aren't they, even from those on the slicks? Yeah. Because Ashkanani is not lapping as quickly anymore.
He's looking down, so he is
8 tenths down on his best.
Yeah.
Right, incidents involving Spain and Italy is under investigation. appears that everybody pouring through. You can see the jumbled order. Italy, I think, has recovered, albeit rather badly delayed, down in 11th place now. There it is. The car is still going, but delayed.
Yeah, so getting past Jean-Luc Bubalik, so that's a pass for 10th place.
You can see the damage on the right-hand side there, so it's looking decidedly second-hand, the Italian car. Off the road, up the road is China. The Mercedes back on.
And that's a car that we think was on wet weather tyres as well.
That's right. So
out of turn 8, so Bubalik gets past, so he goes down to 11th place, and the Italian Ferrari up into 10th.
There's the race leader. Japan still clear of Thailand. The gap at the start of this lap was 2.6 seconds. Gap was down in Sector 1 and up again in Sector 2. In third place is Poland. There is Andrzej Lewandowski, who will give way to Artur Janos. So the task here for the bronze drivers is keep the car in the hunt. Fourth is Portugal, and Christoph Lenz with damage. He's on the back of Turkey now. All of those cars are on slicks. There is Belgium, look, coming under attack. The headlights that pierce the gloom are those of Australia. That's Stephen Grove in the Porsche trying to find a way by.
Yeah, just trying to slide around turn 14. The Swiss Ferrari, or Swiss Lamborghini, we saw that contact, the bodywork in front of the nose of the car was dislodged. It's now flown away, goodness knows to where.
Now, Roda, despite that spin, is in 8th place. He is still storming, and here he comes up against Germany. That's for 7th. So here's your evidence of how the slicks are working.
Yeah, the slicks are only getting better as the wets are deteriorating. They're just getting more and more. It goes past absolutely no problem. 3 cars possibly in the space of about 4 corners.
Belgium gone. Here's Australia about to be dispensed with. Stephen Grove is under attack, under attack, under attack to the outside line. Goes Vallelunga expert Gianluca Roda.
Yeah, also he's got much more grip in these slick tires, so we can brake that bit later, plus he's on the outside line. So the Porsche had to brake earlier to slow down to make the corner. An easy pass for Roda. Done a good job, 3 cars in 4 corners.
Absolutely. It must be a great feeling for a driver this. You're just ticking them off corner by corner. Place gain, place gain. Spain back in the pits.
Tell me all about it.
So in he comes then, the Spanish Lamborghini. The Japanese Lamborghini staying out on track. That's from the FFF team, whereas it's Raton that runs the Spanish car. And Hiroshi Hamaguchi with 46 minutes to go, still struggling for grip. His last lap was a 1:46. Roda on his slick tyres 4 seconds a lap quicker.
Yep.
And of course still stuck in traffic.
The prospect of rain that's hovering all over the racetrack has yet to materialise. So those slick users, the ones that came in after the parade lap, let alone those that actually took the gamble to start on it, appear, though they haven't got track position, but appear to be the ones that are going to make the best progress.
Yeah, I mean, they're racing now with other cars on a comparable tyre, so they're all mired in traffic to an extent. Gianluca Roda up into the top 6 now.
Yeah, isn't that the leading slick car?
Correct. Yeah, despite the spin. Because he had started on them on the grid, so he's not wasted time with the pit stoppers. That battle pack pulls through, including USA, Rob Ferriol, who goes through now into 8th place. Now, you've also got Q8 up into 7th. Zaidas Kanani. There, look, round the outside goes Italy against Portugal. That's 4th place on slick tyres. And look at the drive out of the corner. Roda is flying.
Different world, different car, different level of grip. Now you can see the gamble that some people took, and it was a brave gamble because it was only when we did the parade lap you could see clearly the track conditions, in my opinion, were going to favour the slick tire. But maybe if you've got a bronze driver and you want to give them confidence, just stick them on the wets.
So right now you've got Gianluca Roda having got ahead of Portugal up into 4th place. And where is he relative to the race leader? It's a live gap look that is on the graphic. 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. This is what he's trying to hunt down. So the gap building because he's been overtaking cars. He's not had a clear road ahead of him. 14.7 seconds is the starting point now.
Yeah, and at the start of this lap, it was actually 19 seconds. So he's taken 5 seconds a lap out of this lead car, and he hasn't even completed the full lap.
So there's the race leader going through, and as the cars turn out of turn 14, the lead gap, 5.3 seconds last time, Japan to Thailand. There, look, 3rd and 4th Poland versus Italy. So Gianluca Roda, who was 14 seconds back when we last did the gap, is about to come up towards the timing line. At this pace, he ought to be ahead by the pit stops.
Certainly, they've taken roughly 5 seconds a lap out of the lead car, so Roda comes across start-finish line. So the gap between 1st and 4th is 13 seconds. So it's taken 6 seconds effectively in one lap, start line to start line.
Yeah, he's just under 6 seconds quicker on that lap, but now it gets difficult because again he's got to overtake cars. This is Poland, the Lamborghini of Andrzej Lewandowski bails out wide. Hello, big gap, through he goes.
How about no grip? He just turned the wheel, the front didn't respond. That's what you get in a set of wet weather tyres once the track is no longer appropriate for these tyres. Rhoda is just driving over, under, around the racetrack.
Despite the damage, I mean, again, look at the right-hand side of that car. You see the damage picked up when he hit the Lamborghini. There's damage on the left front as well. And have a look at the right-hand side as he comes out of the corner. The bit's dragging on the ground.
Yeah.
But because he's on far the better tyre, it's all working well. This was the move for third place.
Look, Lamborghini comes in, can't slow down, hasn't got the braking capacity, hasn't got the ability to turn the wheel to get the car to respond. The Ferrari just drives up the inside, drives away from him, didn't even have to make an attempt to pass under brakes, because once he got into the corner, the Lambo was so compromised. Here we go. What a lovely way to drive a racing car when you've got 6 seconds per lap over this here, the lead car. So they came across the line. There were 13 seconds directly behind the Lamborghini. It's going to be something in the region of about maybe 8 seconds. That's being very conservative.
Now, given the experience of the roaders and their success, they are in the pound seats right now, but off the road is Italy.
Because it's raining.
The wiper is on the leading car,
Exactly.
and the best of those on slicks is off the road, and now this turns the race upside down.
Well, we saw just the lead Lamborghini coming through, and its wiper was at full attack. They're coming out of turn 10. Italy just got a bit... I don't think he even got the curbing, the painted curbing, so he just lost control on slicks. Did he hit the... No, he didn't. I don't think he did. Certainly, whatever it was, just the grip was no longer there.
Wow.
And that is a bigger impact, and I think that's probably the end of the road for Major and Minor Roda.
So Gianluca Roda off, and let's see whether he can rejoin, because it could be that the safety car is needed. The rain is falling then, and the lap times, of course, are getting slower and slower. Now we need to look at the Q8 and Russian cars. Salikov for Russia is up to 4th, but he is on slick, so we'll keep an eye to his lap time as the leading Japanese car goes through. This is the mighty gap, 7.5 seconds over Thailand in 2nd place. Then wait, that's Poland heading towards us in 3rd. In 4th place now is Russia, and 5th, look, almost behind him, almost threatening him, for Q8 on slick Zajdash Kanani, and the Russian Ferrari snaps sideways under braking. That is Roda back in the race.
Yeah, he's got it rolling, but how much damage was done to the right front when he hit the tyre barrier? Well, there you can see the damage there, clearly much more severe. Is it touching the body? Whoa, I think he may have to make a pit lane visit there.
Look at the
well, the tyre rub, that means you've got to get into the pits and get that repaired. He's going into the pit lane now.
So Italy's charge seems to come to an end. So all eyes now on Salikov. He's the best of those on slicks.
And you can see the rain falling. So we're coming with 5 minutes to the pit lane window. So those that started on wet weather tyres and braved it out, knowing that they couldn't compete or challenge, have now, it's come right for them. So the rain is going to only get heavier over the next goodness knows how minutes. And big sigh of relief for Team Japan, particularly. They've dominated this race from the front. We've seen challenges come from Poland, we've seen challenges come from Thailand, but nobody has really threatened at any phase the lead Japanese Lamborghini.
Chinese Taipei out of the race with a broken gearbox, incidentally. Italy in the pits with damage, and the Spanish entry in the pits with damage as well. So right now, Japan lapping in the 151s, looking to see if anybody is lapping quicker now that the conditions are changing.
I think the trouble that maybe some of these cars in wet weather tyres have got is they were started in a wet weather tyre, but they've worn it down to a slick. They've just worn the tread off the wet weather tyre down to such a level that not only does the tyre temperature cool down, but the level of grip you've got is diminishing as well.
Now, the slick-shod cars, the pace has just shot up, because if you take Ashkanani, who admittedly is a bit stuck in traffic, he's just on a 157 as against a 151 of Japan. So slicks now, not good news. They've got a pussyfoot round for 4 minutes into the window.
Yeah, they're just going to have to wait until the pit lane opens and just make sure they don't make a mistake, and then they'll come in. And I would assume, and assumptions are based on what we know right now, not what the future might be, that everybody will return with a set of wet weather tyres, because that would be, if nothing else, in these conditions, the best option. But the rain is clearly falling all around the racetrack, and you can see the Polish Lamborghini struggling there in turn 8, almost went off track under braking, couldn't get it slowed down enough, picks up the throttle, gets on with the program. There's the rain coming in behind the hills.
So these GT cars and rain, blimey, they've had enough of each other this weekend. So we are about 4 minutes now before the window opens, and as they're heading through turn 10 is Poland, Andrzej Lewandowski. He's fallen a long way back from Wojciech Intrapudasat. Of course, the hope from the silver drivers is there's a safety car in there, Stindl bunches them all up, and then they go toe-to-toe. Enrique Chavez now looking for a way back ahead of Rinat Salikov. Portugal, remember, is on wet, so these are places being bought back by Chavez, who's up the inside line and will go through.
And Salikov has got nothing he can do about it. He's just got to keep the car on track, avoid getting involved in battles that could see him making an error. We've got 3 minutes remaining before the pit lane will open, so that'll be one more lap, maybe two laps in general.
That's much heavier rain now, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I mean, it's changed from a sprinkle to now you need your wipers on permanently.
Right, Kuwait losing places, handover proverbial, as Zaid Ashkanani is on the wrong rubber. There is the repaired Russian Ferrari after its race 2 smash. Over the timing line we go. Lead gaps up to 14 seconds now. Hamaguchi over Intrapudasat, Japan over Thailand. But nobody being able to match the lap times of the very, very brave Hamaguchi at the moment. He's doing 1:50s. Nobody else, no matter what the tires, can get near that.
And this has been, I mean, we've seen many fine drives through the weekend, but in these conditions, albeit in a set of well-worn wet weather tires, to have your last lap 5 seconds faster than the second place car, 7 seconds faster than the third place car.
Australia takes Russia, gains a place. That's going to put Stephen Grove for Australia now up into 5th position. Around the outside, and also attacking now, look, is China, because trying to go around on the outside line as well there is Yaki Zhang, and Yaki Zhang doesn't quite make it stick at 7. They slither their way out towards turn 8. 2 minutes and a bit before the window opens. End of this lap and one more before those on slicks can come in.
And it's going to be an absolute stampede to get into the pit. You can see Salikov really, really struggling to get the power down in the Ferrari, and those slick tires just has to sit there, be patient, not get frustrated, be patient.
Some of the outcome of this race might depend on where you are on the track relative to the window opening, because if you can, for example, if the window opens when you're at turn 10, you can dive in on that lap. If the window opens when you've just got over the timing line, you're going to lose time by having to do another lap in. So some people might gain or lose depending on their track position around the racetrack when the window opens.
Indeed, and that's going to be another problem for the team principals. What are they going to do? Are they going to have to, well, you can't tell your driver to slow down. If you're within 5 seconds of the window opening, you might say, slow down now, because otherwise you're going to do another lap on a set of tyres.
Now here, it doesn't look as bad as it did a lap ago.
Waved yellow flags. Is there somebody off on the corner?
Let's see.
Don't know why that waved yellow flag was being illustrated, displayed.
Look at Salikov struggling for Russia as he comes off turn 14, hunting for traction, and he's easy pickings, isn't he, for Germany. That is Stefan Göring going through.
So down through these faster parts of the racetrack, the amount of, well, look at, there's the Porsche spun, and the Ferrari got a big wobble on going into turn 2. I was going to say the levels of downforce can take over and make the slick tyre less of an incumbent, but even that was going to be a real problem.
Malaysia spins. This is down at turn 11. It's Adrian De Silva. Please get going again. Please, 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 because the window is about to open. And can the Malaysia car get going? Yes, it can. Good. Track clear. So no panic. A bit of damage on the rear of the car. He's dragged it over the curb, I suspect. But we are 23 seconds away from the pit window opening here at Vallelunga. So actually, this is going to play into the hands of Japan, isn't it? Because that car will be coming towards the paperclip section as the window is about to open. 11 seconds.
Going through it. He's not going to make it. Where is the pit lane entry line? That's the line just behind that painted red. So he needs to do. He's just fractionally too quick to it. He's going to be
right. It's open now.
Here we go. Here's the first. Here's the Swiss Lamborghini. First car that's got the option. He has taken the option.
That's Italy behind. Now look for Thailand. The Porsche stays out. Britain is on slicks. Flick Haig comes in. Lap down. So all those that pitted and lost time to go onto a set of slicks, losing time because of the pit stop and losing time because of the weather conditions changing. So the leader has gone by. In comes Poland. So that is Lewandowski to give way to Artur Janos at the start of the window. Others follow suit now, look.
And probably the last car to make it in will be the lead car.
There is Switzerland. Driver change taking place. The other one was Belarus. That's a lap down as well. Australia is in and Belgium is in. So Poland, Belgium and Australia, they're going to be ones to watch because you're going to get the gun driver on board nice and early. Also Germany is in to give way to Alfred Renau. Stefan Göring will bail. Right, Arthur Janosch, Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion in Asia and former GP3 racer, gets on board. Nico Verdon, massively experienced driver for Belgium.
That will be interesting. Yeah. Nico Verdon was stunning yesterday.
He was. There also coming in is Russia. You've got Kuwait, France, America in. So most are coming in early in the window. That's Kuwait. And Zaid Ashkanani to give way now.
He must be able to move about coming in. His last 5 laps have been a real struggle, but he kept it on the racetrack. That was all he's required to do.
Hong Kong there. Paul Ip arriving at his pit box. An in joint. And there is the leading car.
And there's been a real tippy-toe lap for the lead car. The rain is getting heavier and heavier.
And in comes Hamaguchi then. But now this is as bad as it was when we got the red flag in race 2 this morning.
Yeah, it is. It's going to get worse for the next minute or so. So it not only will it be a wet track, it will be a flooded wet track in various parts. So whether this will lead to another full course yellow or, I hope not, a red flag, I don't think we're going to reach that level just right now.
Well, let's see what happens. The race director has got the window to cope with. The race leading car, hard to pick up when it's in the pit lane.
Outstanding drive by Yamaguchi. That was
absolutely.
Probably the drive of the weekend in many respects, keeping that car at the pace he was running on the racetrack.
Now, Inthra Puvasak takes over the lead for Thailand, and Portugal is going to go up into second place, not yet pitting, because Enrique Chavez is a little bit quicker maybe than Miguel Ramos, so he's going to stay out for as long as possible. So Thailand is the leader, and Portugal is up into second place because they've stayed out. And that is Thailand. That's the leader, beached in the gravel.
And they're on wet weather tyres.
On wet weather tyres, but Inthra Puvasak, having just got the lead, is off the road, so that puts Portugal into the lead, Pro Tem. And down the pit lane goes Japan into the race. So Ukio Sasahara, GT rookie, he looked really impressive this morning, blasts away. There is Turkey for Ayhan Guven to take over from Saleh Yoluch. And that's how Inthra Puvasak lost it coming out of turn 3.
Yes, into turn 3. I mean, how quick was that? I mean, the car just went, snap oversteer, pendulum effect took over. Car, even in the sand or the gravel trap, took a long time to slow it down. That was a big minimum. I mean, a scary moment.
Yeah, well, it's a high-speed part of the circuit. Right, that is Portugal. That's your on-the-road leader, but yet to serve the regulation pit stop. 65 seconds pit in to pit out. And, of course, you've got to get that stop right. If you are under the pit stop time, then penalties can come.
Yeah, so he's got just over 5.5 minutes in which he can choose to come in. So if you're in a rhythm, as he is, then maybe that's the team call. Stay out there, do all the good yards for us. We'll turn the car around, hand it over, and then we'll just take whatever we get. But you have to think that the 519 team, Japan, Lamborghini, with the balance of pace that both drivers have illustrated, when all these pit stops wash out, I know it's a bit of a pun, but when they wash out, it's going to be interesting. But look at Chavez, just drives around in turn 11 as if the Aston Martin wasn't there.
Because the Aston Martin is on an out lap, so the driver for Q8 learning about the circuit, learning about the car here, whereas, as you mentioned, Chavez is in a rhythm and he's doing another lap then. He's maximising the time that's available to him. That's Malaysia.
That is one of the things a team will look at if you're in a situation where it is wet and the incumbent driver is doing a good job. Let him stay out until the last moment, because there will be time that you will make up. So Chavez has come across the line, waiting to see who will be second. It should be China, because the Porsche is so far out. It is China, only 12.2 seconds behind. Porsche 911 is never going to be seen again this afternoon, other than on the back of a tow truck, I would imagine.
And that car's going to be third, isn't it now? So Ukio Sasahara is 23 seconds behind Portugal, and Portugal is yet to stop. So this car, in real terms, leads the race. What we now need to be looking at is who is behind and what the gaps are.
Well, just be very careful coming through this part of the racetrack. Very, very much wetter than it's been over the last lap or so, and almost at the phase where you're getting aquaplaning. It's a quick part of the racetrack. Water will lie on the inside of that little flick into turn 3. Turn 2 is a quick corner, but it's the flick to the left for turn 3 that can catch you out.
But that car is so far ahead of anybody else now. I mean, look, the opposition is going to be Poland ahead of Australia, ahead of Germany, but they haven't even got onto the same lap as Japan. So the gap between Japan and Poland, for example, as the leading cars that have made pit stops, is 1 minute and 11 seconds. So that, for the moment, would suggest that Japan is a shoe-in. Now, OK, Portugal should drop in between those two, but it's still going to be a mighty gap in favour of Japan.
I think we're going to see some kind of intervention coming shortly if this rain doesn't ease off, principally because of the underwater lying in this part of the racetrack.
Now, what's going on
America
here?
again, what are they gotten up to?
This is against China, up at turn 8. Spencer Pumpelly in the American car now.
Well,
It's still Yaki Zhang for China, yet to stop.
Well, Spencer Pumpelly sort of has a bit about him, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Right, there's Japan. That's Sasahara twitching out of turn 11. He doesn't have to be charging along at the moment. He's got so much in hand. He can drive well within himself.
Yeah. Key is, whatever the lap time he's doing, it's about rhythm. Get a rhythm, maintain it, don't try and overdrive. Get your braking spots, mark the spots all the time. So coming through turn 14. Last lap was a 1:56.5. This will be, I suspect, somewhat quicker. Now that he's got a sense for where the track is and the level of grip that's available. 1:56.5 was his best lap prior. Not the last lap yet indicating what speed he's doing, unless it was an absolutely identical lap to his last lap. His last lap.
So Sasahara goes down to turn 4. That last lap was a 53.7, and Nico Verdonk did a 55.3, so not as quick. So Sasahara is in a class of his own. He's got a huge gap, but he's lapping comfortably quicker than anybody else.
Oh, this car, this team have been outstanding all the way through. They were unfortunate in the first round on Saturday when they were caught out by weather, and then the whole red flag issue, and then they got a tire cut down for debris on the circuit. Pit lane window is still open, just another 2 minutes and a bit forward. So Portugal's got to get in either this lap or roll the dice and come in one more lap before the pit lane window closes.
I mean, Chavez is lapping slower than Sasahara anyway, so he's being caught irrespective of the fact the car's got to make a pit stop. So here he is, Ukio Sasahara absolutely flying. Miguel Ramos will take over, but now the opposition need a safety car to bunch them up to get them anywhere near the back of Sasahara. Now Sasahara is being caught by Archer Janos ever so slightly. The gap is down a little, but it's not significant enough. Into the pits comes Portugal. Let's see where the car blends back in.
Yeah, probably a very good call, because it would have been 1:44 and he wouldn't be able to do a lap on 1:44 before the pit lane window would have closed.
That's Sasahara in the traffic, look, coming out of turn 12, 13 now. It's China ahead. That's another car that's got to come into the pit lane. So Sasahara now will take over the lead on the track, as well as being the best of those that have made a pit stop. Miguel Ramos ready to get on board. Sasahara confidently around the outside of Q8. So Japan absolutely storming away with this race.
Well, you have to say it's been a great job from our driver. Hashigama has done a stunning job in his stint, and we're now seeing that continued by Sasahara in conditions that are much worse.
So the pit window stays open, but these are the last of the stops. And that is Patrick Niederhauser with yet more damage on the front of the Raton Lamborghini.
There's a touch of the biffer bin for the body parts in that Lamborghini.
Yeah.
It looks like the front splitter's gone, the bonnet's gone, whatever else is gone. Probably more aerodynamic, I have to say, but nevertheless, that car will maybe get the black and orange flag to indicate that it should come in and get those offending parts removed for the interest of safety for everybody else. And while that thing's bouncing and flapping off the racetrack, that's carbon fibre shards that are being dispersed on the racetrack.
Right, Portugal back on track. That's Belarus back on track as well. That car is 16th and a lap down. That's China that's going to drop down as well. So 32 seconds was the lead gap when Portugal went out of the pit lane. Timing lines at pit out, effectively, so it's a bit more relevant, actually, on this circuit.
Jimmy Plough behind the wheel of the France Mercedes-Benz. So he is in 8th place, ought to be able to do something.
Safety car.
Not surprised.
Safety car, the window is closed, and now that everybody has made their pit stops, the race director gets the safety car out on track, because an order has effectively been established now, with everybody having made the pit stops, and the safety car, there it is deployed. This must be weather related, because I'm not aware of anybody that we've got in the gravel.
David, this is without doubt weather related. This down through turns 2, 3, down into 4 is looking marginal. And the speed these cars are carrying, they're doing sort of 220, 30 kilometers per hour as they go through that zone. We saw how quickly the Thai Porsche went off and it got it all wrong in track conditions that were nowhere near as severe as they are right now. So in the interests of safety, the safety car has been deployed.
24 minutes of the race to go. Now, are we going to get to a point, however, where we can't restart? Because if the rain is still falling and the track conditions are dangerous now, they're not going to improve.
It needs to have a really, really heavy 5-minute deluge. This is all drivable. I mean, you could race it, but it's marginal. So the safety car has picked up, not the leader, that's for sure.
That's America, isn't it?
Can they wave through? Yeah, they can wave it through. Yeah. So Pompelli's been allowed.
You see the green light flash, which means you can overtake.
Yeah. So he's now waiting to catch up for the Japan. The leading car, there it is. So coming down into turn 4. And the safety car will be just in the exit of 5, waiting to pick up the race leader. And that's what is going to happen. So the pace that they'll now be running at will be a fraction of what they've been capable of doing. So
now 23 minutes remain. There are bits of the circuit that don't look too bad and bits that look really horrible.
Yeah, the bits down 2, 3 into 4 are the bits that I would be concerned about. The other parts of the racetrack are relatively slow in comparison. And other than the fundamental driver errors which can occur at any state of a racetrack condition. But it's those bits, those high-speed bits that, to me, look the bits that could be problematic.
So through they turn. Rain
Still
falling.
going around, the Swiss Lamborghini body front splitter banging itself off the racetrack.
Just looking at the medals table at the moment, Russia has a gold and 2 bronze and ain't going to get a gold out of this. Italy isn't going to get a gold. That's got a gold and 1 bronze. And Netherlands has got a gold.
Thunder or was that lightning? I heard thunder.
Possibly thunder. But Russia is going to win seemingly on the medals at the moment, as the cars of Japan, Portugal, Poland aren't really in the hunt. And if that thunder is going to herald more range on, then this is going to be a very lengthy period.
Well, that certainly sounded like thunder. There was meant to be lightning also, just to mix up the weather for what we've got now, 22 minutes of this race remaining.
Switzerland, perhaps not surprisingly, being warned about the fact the car's falling apart. Mechanical warning flag to Switzerland.
Should have been out a lot earlier, in my opinion, but what do I know?
I'm surprised the team let him back out with the damage like that. You'd have thought the tank tape might have been used at least.
I don't know whether the front splitter was as bad as it is at the point they made the pit stop.
Yeah.
The front bonnet had gone, but the splitter looked like it's deteriorated. Probably had a further trip off the racetrack at some point or other.
So you've got back markers in between leading cars. Bits flap away.
Coming in now, Switzerland.
Yeah.
Understandably and not surprisingly and rather long overduely.
Now, what needs to happen as far as the race director is concerned before he is content to let them go? Because we seem to be in a bit of an impasse as far as the weather is concerned. That's not going to change just for us, is it?
He's got 21 minutes in which to make up his mind. So there's the Swiss Lamborghini. I wonder what they will do. I mean, there's not an awful lot left of the front of the car. I mean, the right front looks like it's pretty damaged. I think maybe pull it into the garage and put a cover over it. How's he gonna? Where's the Swiss garage?
It might even be they're going straight back to the paddock, loop the car around and retire it.
Yeah, probably would be the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
You're never going to replace any of those body parts.
So we've got, at the moment, Japan leading Portugal. Now there's traffic between them, but the gap has come down to 4.9 seconds. Safety car in this lap. So we are going to go racing.
It looks marginally better down to this part of the racetrack than it did a couple of laps ago, but it's still treacherous.
It's going to be fascinating now, isn't it? So Miguel Ramos and Archie Janot given, if you like, get out of jail free cards, because from over a minute back, Janos is only 7 seconds back, and Archie Janot, he could be the real gun here.
If I was Andrea Caldarelli, I'd be spitting whatever he spits, because his comfortable lead, a victory which was a shoe-in, has suddenly all been renegotiated.
Possibly, but don't forget, second there, and where's third there, got a lot of traffic to get through, and while they're doing that, so Japan can pull away.
Oh, absolutely. Nevertheless, I'd rather have the pound in my pocket than the one that was maybe going to come to me a few hours later.
Only a pound.
Well, let's start. Oh, look at that. Look how black that is.
That's going to hit when we walk to the car park, you know. So, safety car in this lap. That's going to give us about 18 and a half minutes at best. Lights are out. And Ukio Sasahara then has got, 2, 3 back markers, I think, between him and Portugal behind as they come now down towards the right at turn 10. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3 back markers between first and second, then another back marker ahead of Poland in third place.
Well, if Ramos and Janos have anything about them, they should get through these other cars, certainly without too much difficulty. But it's all a matter of how quick Sasahara can get on with the program. He's going to determine the pace of the cars now with the safety car coming into the pit lane. So he will, by the time he gets through turn 13, will be on it, I suspect. Maximum attack, pedal to the metal, and any other cliches you can think of.
Trying to avoid cliches like the plague. Here we come then, up to the green flag. Also, just to make the point, the Thailand car is out of harm's way as well, thanks to that safety car period. So it's been useful twice. And here comes the leader. And look, on his toes, Sasahara is away and gone. And you can't overtake the traffic until you get to the line. Malaysia comes up to try and overtake Q8. Well, OK, fair enough. But it's the pack behind we need to be looking at. 3 back markers. There goes Portugal. There goes Poland.
Yeah, now that overtake may well get a review as well, because you point out you're not allowed to pass until you go across the start-finish line. But now, all of a sudden, what looked like reasonable visibility behind the safety car, it's an entire whiteout. And, I mean, that is exceptionally difficult for all those cars in the middle of that pack. How much can you see? Well, you can see very little other than the brake lights. Cars coming from you from all sorts, like into the valley of, charge of the light brigade. Oh,
that's Germany.
That got tagged.
That could be a safety car. We've just had Poland get ahead of Portugal. So off the road has gone Alfred Renauer. That was round the front of Nico Verdonk. Here comes Verdonk against Ramos. Belgium versus Portugal up towards turn 7. Safety cars breed safety cars. You've got them all bunched up, and now people out of position trying to push. Sasahara getting away, but now it looks like Artur Janos is the man on the attack for Poland. It's Lamborghinis 1 and 2. FFF Racing for Japan versus Sospiri's team for Poland. There is Janos paddling his way through in second place. Up to third is Belgium now as they sprint out of turn 8. But Belgium's just got involved with Germany, so there could be an investigation over that.
Absolutely, Nico Verdonk, but his pace, you can see he's going to be another challenge, although he's lying right now in 5th place. So he did get involved with the Porsche down at the bottom of the racetrack.
He's going to be third, isn't he now, I think, because of all the shuffles we've had on that lap. So Belgium up to third, first gear hairpin. Nico Verdonk, massively experienced driver, tries to get through the traffic. He's got Australia behind him. Look at France suddenly back at the races. Jim Pla in the Mercedes. But they've still got back markers to get through. We've got a yellow flag out. Are we going safety car? We are. Safety car is deployed again. Safety car on track. Belgium backs off. Australia passes.
Yeah, again, safety cars announced. The drivers are made aware of it, and that's a pass under a safety car instruction. Again, the rain, look at the heavy rain that's now falling in turn 14. I mean, the track is now almost totally awash.
Right,
and
so
you can see Yasugara's face, he's, whoa, I don't fancy that. Coming down into turns 2 and 3. 99, Porsche has gone into the gravel at the seaside, because that's what you're doing. You're racing effective Stefan Göring, who had been in 7th place. He's not going anywhere else.
That was the tag with Belgium. It's Alfred Renauer at the wheel. The transponder's not working properly. Here it is. Look, the car of Verdonk gets up the inside, and the Porsche either got a tap or spun or both. But either way, off it goes.
The tap set the spin off. Yeah, very light tap would take very little to spin the car off. So it's in the gravel, and conditions up at turn 14. Even worse than they've been at any point in this race. So.
Right, 15 minutes to go. More replays of the moment. This is Nico Verdonk. He goes for the inside. It's difficult in these conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, that was a clear, it wasn't intended, but it was a fortunate consequence. So that was what was being investigated.
But he was then passed just as the safety car was called by Australia. So we'll wait and see if that is going to be rectified. Right now, Artur Janos is 11 seconds back because there was traffic between him and Japan as they came across the line. Let's see now what the order is as the powerboat race comes down towards 7. Again, it's gone against Janos. He's got 2 back markers to get through, one of which is Malaysia and one of which is Turkey. And the third one, in fact, apologies, Belarus is in the way as well. So Janos is still on the back foot. It's still advantage Japan.
Yeah.
And there, Belgium allowed back ahead of Australia.
Look at that rain. I mean, it is absolutely pouring down. This is down at turn 7. And in fact, the whole racetrack now is just in the same big cloud dump up to turn 8. Just about, there's one of our cameramen. And they are doing an absolutely sterling job in pretty dire, horrible conditions.
And the marshals too, braving all of this so he can go racing. The order continues to shuffle. We've got Japan ahead of Poland, ahead of Australia, and then Belgium at the end of the previous lap, but that's switched back. So Belgium is 3rd, Australia 4th, France 5th, China 6th, Hong Kong from the pit lane 7th, 8th Russia, 9th, dropping down to 9th Portugal, 10th America, 11th was Germany, but that car's out of the race, so that's going to promote Malaysia, Turkey, Belarus, Kuwait and Britain.
It's almost a case of what's going to be the last nation standing. 13 minutes.
There's the last cameraman standing almost.
Yeah, well.
Not yet drowned. Yeah, thumbs up. Not a thumbs up from Alfred Renau then. That car out of the race. Incident involving Germany and Belgium under investigation. Not a surprise. And that's the state of the track right now. 13 minutes are on the clock.
I do suspect the Nigger Verdon will have a drive-through penalty as a consequence of that contact.
As you say, not deliberate, but one of those things.
But you know, the contact took out a car that was racing for position directly ahead. Consequently, the Porsche is out of the race, Team Germany's out of the race, and Netherlands is still in the race. So there has to be some kind of, you can't call it retribution, but there's got to be some kind of penalty to redress that situation.
Car 16 being looked at for the safety car procedure. That is Malaysia's entry. Wire on tan at the wheel of it. There it is, the El Bamba run Porsche coming over the line. A lap down in 12th place. It's a very slow pace, as you would expect, behind the safety car right now.
Well, I think the safety car's probably got as much difficulty staying on track as the race cars have.
Fair point, actually. So down here through the Curva Grande they come. Turn 1 is the king. Turn 2, this is this very, very fast right, the Curva Grande. And it's coming out of this that we've lost cars over the weekend, including Thailand, for example.
Yeah, that Porsche went off massively quick. There's the German entry. It's been dragged away. I don't know where the hole in the wall is that they can drag that car to safety to let this race. I don't know whether they're going to let it go back to green racing conditions with the level of rain that's falling, because what's falling in the circuit is keeping the level of water high. It's a bit like a king tide down at Pagan Beach and near Bognor Regis.
I was about to say that. You took the words.
Yeah.
I was fishing for the right analogy. There's number 1. That's Turkey. Really frustrating weekend for TF Sport. Tom Ferrier's team, Ayçin Güven, Salih Yoluç, who are the drivers, having won the Nations Cup in the Mercedes last year, but it's the regular car for Salih Yoluç, and Ayçin Güven very good in Porsche Super Cup race winner at Silverstone this year. That's horrible. Look at the rain there.
Yeah, and safety, it's car 16 under investigation, safety car procedure. That was the pass in turn 12-13, we think. As we look at the Porsche. Oh, don't do that to my nice Porsche.
So the winners of race 1.
It's going to bump into the back of the trail. Oh,
winners of race 1 out of the main race.
You can just hear the cash register going ka-ching at Porsche Customer Service Department. Spencer Pompelli didn't expect weather like this. He thought it was going to be a lovely autumnal room. Yeah. All the romance, all the gorgeous food in Rome. Some very pleasant wines too.
Safety car on track, and then 3 back markers still between the top 2. So in terms of time, it's a modest gap, but it will take Artur Janow's time to get through that traffic, and he's running out of time because all of this is eating into the hour of the race.
Yes, it is. Of course, anybody, any driver, lead driver, second place driver, third place, all capable of getting called out by track conditions. And what you might think is driving moderately or conservatively might just be that 1% above what is safe.
Now you're looking into the Polish garage effectively there. Vincenzo Sospiri in the spectacles. It's his team operating the Polska car, and looking at the back markers between. Ideally, they'd all come down the pit lane and open up the track for him. That ain't going to happen, as Hiroshi Hamaguchi looks at a race lead and possibly a race win. 10 more minutes to go here.
And I just wonder how much rain. One of the things about racing in the rain like this, or even driving at the speed limit, these race cars are not like your proverbial go to the showroom and buy the brand new model. They're made to go quick. They're not made to keep you dry. So water gets in, doesn't often get out so quickly.
So water in the works is a possibility. And right now, Russia is on target to win the FIA Motorsport Games, we believe, because of medals already earned, and Belgium and Australia are the only other nations that could win it, but they've got to win this GT race. Well, Belgium 3rd on the road and Australia 4th on the road, but Russia is potentially going to end the weekend as the best motorsport nation.
Well, it's a developing nation, and from a motorsport perspective, albeit they've had racing in Russia since the end of the Second World War, when they managed to get a few of the old auto unions over as part of reparations. But they've had a thriving motor racing, but it's been a localized, a national series. These are drivers that are coming out and competing on the world stage. That's a different discipline, and certainly we've seen in the touring cars, they've got a lot of talent there.
So they had a bronze in drifting, they had a gold, Russia, or she had, country's a female, aren't they? Gold in the touring car race. Right, let's go to Poland, as it were, because that is where Andrzej Lewandowski is watching his car in second place, but he's running out of time to be a race winner. Dakota is with him.
Andrea, now if this goes green again, are you going to have a chance to attack on Japan?
The first 3-4 laps, my tires is very okay, very good. The pressure is very nice, and that's why I the leading. But after maybe I overheating my tires, and that's why I should a little make cold my tires, and that's why the Japanese overtake me, you know. But that's why I drive very carefully, you know. I don't want to finish too early. I think about my teammate, and that's why I driving very carefully, you know. And that's why the whole race is the most important, not my stand. And that's why I think that maybe we still fight of the champion, yes.
Now Arthur's in the car, he needs to do a dobro robota, that's correct. Oh, good job. Good luck for the rest of the race, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dziękuję.
The problem is they've got all that traffic between them. If it were the two of them nose to tail, it wouldn't be quite so bad, but there's no way Janos is going to be able to get through the traffic and then have the time to attack the leading car, especially with every lap under the safety car like this.
Yeah, and I just wonder how long the safety car, is it going to be a safety car finish? Because clearly race director wants to see a race finish as a race not under a safety car, but he's got to take into consideration track conditions. Has the rain stopped? Have the conditions marginally improved? Would it be safe for me, bearing in mind the whole ethos of this particular weekend's motorsport, FIA Motorsport Games, is that the right thing to do, or is the pragmatic thing to do just finish it safely under the safety car and we'll have a winner?
With every lap the safety car stays out, it is harder to see the race getting back underway, isn't it? Because the conditions aren't improving. So if it's bad now and the rain's still falling, it's still bad. There is the German car out of the gravel and out of the way, but when Oliver Grodowski is happy, if he is happy, then the indication can be given that we will restart. But right now, it's still as bad a track surface as it was last time through, the time before that.
Yeah, the rain looks like it's maybe eased a bit. I can't see how much it's bouncing off the racetrack. Looks like it may have blown through, but it's just the volume of water as they come up here to turn 7. So clearly everybody's wipers are going. That's because of the spray more than anything else. But even the safety car, they're having difficulty. So it must still be considered to be too bad. There you can see the rain here up at turn 7. So Dahl's look with 6 minutes remaining. This will finish under a safety car. It's a sad way to end what could have been a great finale, but it's all in the interests of safety for everybody competing.
And of course, although we talk about the silvers and some of the pedigree that the drivers have, there is no pro, in other words, gold or platinum graded driver in this. It is a Pro-Am GT competition, so almost by definition, these are less experienced, I'm not saying less capable, but they are the lower graded drivers. You would expect them to struggle more than a gold or a platinum graded driver. So what you might do is get the safety car in on the last lap so they can run to the checkered flag just for the photographs.
I somehow doubt it. Look at the rain on the windscreen there. I think that level of rain is just a risk one too many.
It'd only be one corner, of course, and it would still be under yellow flag conditions, so it's the notional photograph that they require with the cars taking the checkered flag but without the safety car in the shot, really. We'll see whether that is the case. Otherwise, they might as well put the red flag out now and call it, might they?
I don't think they want to do that, but you could bring the safety car in and allow what you've just said to happen. It would be the lowest risk option of any available.
So here they come over the line, and with just under 5 minutes to go and lapping at just under 3, it's going to be 2 more laps, isn't it? Now, this is on board Belgium, and is that Q8 ahead of us that's in the spray? Suddenly spins. Wow, Nico Verdonk's eyes are out like chapel hat pegs there as he has to try and avoid that.
He did a good job, and that just indicates just how little traction there is out there. That's maybe why the safety cars remained. That was under acceleration, spun up the rear wheel, car rotated. Even in spite of having traction control, and most drivers tend to dial traction control out, they want to have the control of the throttle and what the engine's doing. But in these conditions, maybe you want to put a bit more traction control in.
So that's what it's like down at turn 4. Safety car on track. Field turning through. Great Britain goes through down in 15th place. There is America, which is out of sequence, but it's 9th, that nation. And this is currently lap 27, but I don't think we're going to go racing again, are we? The safety car may peel in, as I say, just to let them drive to the flag, but we're not going to have racing laps, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I think that call that you've suggested might be the option that race director could take. It's the option that would put competitors in the least amount of danger, and it would give, as you say, the opportunity for the winning car to take the checkered flag and all the glory that rightly the Team Japan has earned and deserves.
Drive through for Belgium for pushing another car. So Nico Verdonk, as you predicted, John, does get more than just his wrist slapped for the contact against Germany. So Belgium, I'm afraid, currently third. That's going to give Australia a bronze in this race, potentially third place. But still looking as though the overall gold medal for the entire weekend is going to be to Russia, and the race will finish behind the safety car. So there we go, we know what the order is going to be, except for Belgium, because what they'll have to do is add 30 seconds to the race time, and because they're all concertinaed like this, that 30 seconds is going to make more of an impact.
You might as well just go up now, not even bother taking the checkered flag. So that's a big penalty, bearing in mind that everybody is compressed in a safety car line. Look at here, we watch again, but this is what happened with the Porsche and the Audi. There we are, just going to turn in. And Verdonk is just carrying more pace than the Porsche. Again, this compressed field probably compounded the fact that the Porsche couldn't maybe accelerate as quickly as it wanted to do, but Verdonk maybe made the misjudgment of assuming that the Porsche would accelerate and got therefore caught out and consequently get penalised.
Like you say, not intentional, but it still happened, and so this is going to be the last lap of the race. There is less than a lap time left in the race, and so the on-the-road order is Japan, Poland, and then Belgium. And as Andrea Caldarelli talks to Hiroshi Hamaguchi, unless the car expires on the last lap with water in the works, Japan will win the GT Cup. It's a real shame that the weather has had such a part to play in a negative way for the GT cars this weekend. And although Japan is very happy that it's going to be a win, we've been a bit shortchanged because of the weather, haven't we?
Yeah, in fairness, Team Japan was a very strong team across both drivers, and the FFF race team has been the dominant team in the World Championship, so they've done a magnificent job with their Lamborghini Huracan, the evil version of that car, and one might say, well, they won because they did the best job, but in this instance, that argument could be argued, but I have to say I think Japan are a worthy winner of this round.
So out of turn 7 comes the safety car, and Ukio Sasahara, in effectively his GT debut, is going to be victorious. And behind, perhaps significantly, Turkey, last year's Nations Cup winning nation, will be 12th in this race. Okay, a lap adrift because of an extra pit stop, but a case of what might have been. But the Aston has really not gelled with this circuit, it seems.
I thought it might have done. I mean, it's a car I always admire. I think it's a car that's got good qualities, but maybe, as they pointed out, sometimes in dry conditions they don't get the best out of it. It's slightly different to the V12 engine Aston Martin. It's a much more developed race car than the Vantage used to be. So, and changeable conditions, you lose track position, you roll the dice, and running on a set of tyres. It's not been their weekend.
So the checkered flag is at the ready, time is up, and the final activity in the FIA Motorsport Games, sadly, is going to be behind the safety car, but it has been a good weekend of action when we've had it from the GT cars. The weather gods perhaps haven't been GT fans here. They didn't even smile on Italy when the car was going so strongly early on in the race, but for Japan it will be a win. in the GT Cup. The safety car brings them around then. Japan from Poland, and up to third is going to go Australia. The safety car does peel into the pit lane, so they will take the checkered flag without the safety car in the way. That means the photographs will be Japan taking the checkered flag. It's going to be Yukio Sasahara at the wheel, and yet another victory goes the way of the FFF racing team as the cars accelerate up towards the checkered flag. The GT Cup in the FIA Motorsport Games is claimed by Japan. The field pours across the line and the celebrations begin. This is one that Andrea Caldarelli hasn't been involved in as a driver, but he's a very proud, very pleased team principal.
Absolutely, it's been a gilded year for the FFF racing team. They've worked hard. They came in as a big operation, 3-car operation in Blancpain alone, running a car here for Japan, and they've walked away winning the GT crown. And I think that, again, how many accolades can one team principal and principal driver in the team actually win? I mean, there's not much left in life for you, is there?
Next year's going to be a huge disappointment because there's nothing else to win. They can't do this again. Right, Hiroshi Hamaguchi is part of the winning combination of drivers from Japan. He's with Dakota, look.
Oh, Hiroshi, Subayashi, congratulations. That was a fantastic race. Wasn't nail-biting until the end. I could see you very nervous.
Sure, we didn't expect the safety car to come in, but for the safety, definitely we needed the safety car anyway. And the team has done a great job. We've won everything you could possibly imagine this season, and to close the season with this, I mean, can't be any happier.
Japan must be very proud of their 2 spectacular drivers. Are you waiting to see Yukio out the car?
Of course, yeah, he's done a great job. I can't believe this was his first time driving GT3 this weekend, and he's done just an amazing job. I'm happy for him.
Omedetou. Congratulations. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Okay, Sasahara, you get the feeling, will be signed up for a programme somewhere, whether it's in the Asian SRO series or in Europe next year, because for a GT3 debut, that has been very impressive indeed.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I think we've seen a couple of stars really shining here through the weekend, and not just in GT racing. And what I've enjoyed about this weekend, just thinking about it, watching the race unfold, it takes me back to the days, I know it sounds terrible to say, but in the days in Great Britain where we had wonderful national level multi-category motor races, really good racing weekends, and this has been a really great racing weekend.
This is how they came, not just across the line, but with penalties applied. So Japan victorious from Poland. Australia, brilliant way to end the weekend for the dad and lad squad of the Groves. France 4th ahead of China, Hong Kong, Russia. USA up to 8th, and Belgium's penalty, converted to a time penalty post-race, drops the car to 9th. Portugal 10th ahead of Malaysia, then Turkey, Belarus, Kuwait, and last in the end, Great Britain. So the nations that were 1 and 2 in the Nations Cup last year, 12th and 15th. This year, we lost Germany, we lost Switzerland, we lost Thailand, we lost Italy, Chinese Taipei, and Spain. And of course, not starting was Denmark. It's been a weekend of changing fortunes for many of the nations, but that one constant pretty much has been Japan. Quick all the way through. The one blot, really, was a puncture in the first race, but even then, the team had illustrated how quick they were.
It's an outstanding outfit, and the other thing that is important is that neither driver actually made an error that we saw. There have been lots of driving errors throughout the 3 GT3 races that we have seen here in Vallelunga, but neither Japanese driver, to my knowledge, made an error, unforced or otherwise.
So they're being indicated into the Parc Ferme area, and then hopefully to the podium is Japan. So your work isn't just done when you cross the line. You've now got to make sure you know where you're aiming for and get the car into the Parc Ferme, but it's going to be Parc Ferme conditions in front of the podium here for Japan. Yukio Sasahara very proudly will drive that car in front of the podium. This has been a big success as well. The paddock, all the GT cars facing into the paddock, not into the pit lane. The touring cars, the Formula 4 cars, the drift cars, under little shelters, a bit like you might have seen at Goodwood or the Le Mans Classic, so the fans can go and see them. They're not hidden away in awnings or in transporters. Everybody gets up close, and then the podium taking over a big chunk of the paddock. Everybody with little grandstand there can go and join in the celebrations.
But the key to all this is allowing the public access to the paddock. How often often do we go to events. Access, you must be dreaming.
Yeah.
Go and sit in a grandstand. You'll be lucky to watch what you can see.
It's been free access for the fans as well, and it's been a busy weekend of action all over the facility. So, yes, says the FFF racing team, what a weekend, what a season it has been for not only the team, but Hiroshi Hamaguchi as well. He is, Akio Sasahara, not yet getting around to taking off his crash helmet, but that will happen in a moment. So, for the GT Cup, as Andrea Caldarelli congratulates Akio Sasahara, it is the top 3 that take the medals. And then you've got the overall medals table as well, which will be in favour of Russia, and the closing ceremony will take charge of that later on this evening. So Akio Sasahara about to take off his crash helmet. All smiles. What a debut.
I mean, he might even be thinking, if I had known this was going to be so easy, I might spend more time in Europe racing. First race, come walk in, take a victory. How easy can it be?
Might have done it sooner. Akio Sasahara then is a race winner here for Japan.
Yukio, Sugoi race, fantastic, super race. Very, very happy.
Yeah.
You don't even have the words to speak, do you?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I have to huge thanks to Hiroshi-san who took me to this race and was such a wonderful team. I mean,
FFF has a really good season this year.
yeah, everything we got, so perfect.
Perfect day to be Japanese, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
An amazing debut to GT3 racing. Welcome to the club.
Thank you very much. It was a nice debut, yeah.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
So Akio Sasahara, we've seen in Europe in single-seater racing. Giorgio Sana there, the motorsport boss of Automobili Lamborghini, also joining in the celebrations. That's another trophy that's another element to this year. We talk about the team, but you know, Lamborghini as a brand has achieved a huge amount.
Yeah, and it's not a factory Lamborghini team, it's a customer Lamborghini team. And all these teams are customer teams. They're not factory in the sense that you would assume it was entered by the company. It's a great effort, and credit to Andrea Caldarelli and his backers who put this effort together over the back end of 2018 and have accumulated award upon award upon award.
The photographs are conducted. Japan, there, the livery, and our winners for Akio Sasahara and Hiroshi Hamaguchi. They are the winners. Australia take bronze, and the Groves are with Dakota.
A father and son duo seems to be a good one for you guys. Congratulations on third. It was a really good race.
Thank you very much. I mean, we've raced together not so much, and 2 of the times we've won, and today we came third, and after this morning and yesterday it wasn't likely. So for us, it's just amazing. It's a win after last year.
Happy with that?
Yeah, really happy with that. We had to work really hard, and to come here and represent our country, I am so stoked. It's fantastic.
It's all nice to see smiles. Congratulations, boys. Thank you.
Stephen Grove, a real Porsche enthusiast. I think I said in race 2, there's barely anything in Australia that you could race a Porsche in that he's not raced one in. You know, he's done club level championships, national championships, GT championships, always in Porsches. And his son Brenton Grove, Porsche racer, but has raced in Super 2, the development series in supercars.
Do you think he's an air-cooled man or a water-cooled man?
Probably both.
I hope he is.
He's got a fleet of them.
Hope he is.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And it looks like a junior Japanese member. Well, maybe another 15 or so years he'll be looking to get behind the wheel of a GT3 or whatever incarnations we're going to be presented with. And, well, I mean, short of words really to say what this young man has accomplished. The hard yards, clearly, in my opinion, were done by Hiroshi Hamaguchi in that stint. Built up a lead, and what he did on those wet weather tyres on the track, which really was more of a slick track, still was doing outstanding laps and still remained the tyre with enough life in it not to lose ground.
The other good thing about this, and we had it last year in Bahrain for the GT Nations Cup, is, and we've made the point, John, over the weekend, that you have the different driver combinations, people in different cars, running with different teams, so many imponderables, and you look at an entry list and it's tough to know who is going to be the winner. Yes, all right, we knew Japan was going to be strong, but there were lots of other potential victors, and it's a really surprising top three. Second, of course, here being Poland.
Dobrze robota, well done. A fantastic job to both of you. Arthur, your teammate was very, very nervous in the last minutes of the race.
Yeah, I started from pole. He made a great job to keep a lot of guys behind him all the time in P3. So then I had an easy job, I thought, but with better conditions that we had, it was like, I don't know, it was 50-50, or we'll go to slicks or wet. We decided to stay with wet tires, and in the end was great.
You must be so happy with P2 to see your flag up there on the podium. Congratulations.
Yes, we are very, very happy.
Thank you, congrats.
It's been a good week for Andrzej Lewandowski because he won the World Final Pro-Am class in Super Trofeo at Jerez last Sunday, and here he is as a silver medalist in the Motorsport Games at Vallelonga 7 days on.
You know, if you're a racing driver and you're not racing every weekend, there's something wrong with you, and that's what I like to see, guys racing all the time.
So the Japanese squad start to celebrate, the dignitaries being marshalled into place, ready for the podium, and the teams, the vanquished, now start to worry about packing up, going home, moving on to the next race. We were hearing from one team that there's a flight tomorrow to go to the other side of the world for the next international sports car race that they've got to go do. So the circus will move on.
Well, these cars are, I mean, they're virtually 365 a day race cars.
Yeah.
There's events. We're going to an event in South Africa, Kyalami 9 hours. That's our next event. There are other events in the Middle East and in the Far East.
Yeah, some of the GT teams involved in Macau the week before Kyalami. As you say, the season gets longer and longer and spread further and further around the world.
David, it means, you know, think of all those trips, or think of all those air miles we're benefiting from.
I'll get back to you on that.
Avoid responsibilities. I'm good at that.
I'm joking. So the relevant sponsor patches put on the overalls as the podium ceremony is almost ready. Podium's impressive. There it is. And you see the teams, the fans all in front of it, just as it should be.
I mean, we see podiums primarily in Formula One, and it's a different world altogether. But when you see events like this, to put it into an area where the public have got access and make the public feel they're a part of the process, to have the cars facing into the pit. I mean, if you went to the old Nordschleife, the old paddock in Nürburgring, you could walk around it. You see the cars. Even Monza, you could see the cars. Now, those paddocks are verboten.
I think most people in the paddock have got their photographs taken with the Japanese winners.
I think he's got his fingers up the wrong way around there, actually.
Yeah, well, you know,
anyway,
rookie error.
Intention was right.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, and all weekend, all racing, so.
Congratulations from Pirelli, on whose tyres, wet and slick, we've been running this weekend in the GT class. Right, I think we're good to go, are we not? Because the Vallelonga officials, the SRO officials, the FIA officials have got people where they need them to be. And the driver's just being told that they'll get their medals, they'll then be taken back to be re-presented at the closing ceremony later on. However, let us get ready for the last race podium, because up come for the bronze medal for Australia. Stephen Grove and Brenton Grove, the Australian Porsche racers, take third position. Then for second, it will go the silver medal to Lamborghini drivers from Poland, Andrzej Lewandowski and Artur Janos.
Lamborghini European GT3.
The Polish flag is there. Congratulations to Australia for third place. And then the top step of the podium, the winners of the GT Cup at the FIA Motorsport Games, Japan, Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Ukyo Sasahara for the top step of the podium. The Lamborghini drivers stand on the top step, and they will now be the national anthem of the winning nation.
With a great emotion, the nation.
So for Japan, the national anthem plays, and the race-winning nation, Japan, celebrations to get underway. The medals will be presented on the podium, then again at the closing ceremony that will be covered later on in the afternoon. And a great idea, this FIA Motorsport Games, born out of the FIA GT Nations Cup that we had last year. More categories added and promoted by SRO under FIA regulations. The general manager of Vallelunga, Alfredo Scala, steps forward to hand over the bronze medal to a delighted Stephen Grove and to his son Brenton. And the CAMS officials, the Confederation of Australian Motorsport, will be pretty chuffed with that as well. From the other side of the world, the Aussies get on the podium, and the Porsche drivers that, again, you wouldn't have anticipated being in third place, with all due deference to them, take a bronze medal. Then it is going to be Matteo Braga from Pirelli, who is brought forward to hand over the silver medals. And the Pirelli engineers, the technicians, the fitters, they've all been busy this weekend looking after the GT and the single-seater cars. And so there, Artur János and Andrzej Lewandowski receive silver medals. You know, you've got to go a long way to find a day that Andrzej Lewandowski doesn't smile. He's a really jolly character, and he's been very successful in Lamborghinis. There, the medals presented. And then it will be Viktor Kiryanov, the president of the Russian Automobile Federation, who is being asked to hand over the medals to the winners. It is Russia that wins the FIA Motorsport Games, but here, stepping forward to make the presentation, Viktor Kiryanov, the president of the Russian Automobile Federation, steps forward. And the applause go to the Japanese drivers, because they're Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Ukyo Sasahara are gold medalists in the GT Cup. So many what-ifs, so many hard luck stories, but deserving winners.
Absolutely. I think they've done a stunning job, and as I say, don't think either driver put a wheel wrong throughout the weekend. And if you want to win motor races, don't make mistakes. The team didn't make any mistakes. The drivers didn't make any mistakes. Their due reward is the victory this afternoon.
Champagne will be sprayed in a moment. First of all, there are the photographs. Polish flag is there. All the nations' flags are in the background. Nina Pfifner from SRO, who has worked so hard to make this event a success, is there to put the champagne bottles in place so that when the photographers say, OK, you're good, they've got something to spray at one another. Andrzej Lewandowski, imagine the smile had he won. Grinning from ear to ear, his silver medal. The Groves looking pretty chuffed with third place.
Just a moment for the photographer. Just a second.
And so we're almost done, we're almost done, we're almost done. And so now the champagne can be sprayed here at the Autodromo di Vallelunga. The FIA Motorsport Games, John, has been a big hit.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I say just a few minutes ago, I enjoyed the variety of disciplines, and some of the racing was outstanding. In some of them in exceptionally difficult circumstances, as we saw both yesterday and here at the closing race this afternoon. But everybody here has done their job, and again, it's the atmosphere, the feel.
Yeah,
it's generating, I hope, another generation, or many more generations of young boys and girls who will want to make their way into motorsport. We've seen it with the karting at one aspect of the circuit. We've had the drifting, a different discipline totally, and even the digital side, which is something beyond me, but I know is massive, absolutely massive.
There have been competitors from all over the world here in huge numbers, and the fans have responded. Japan, Poland, Australia, the top three nations in the GT Cup. It has been an ultra-successful weekend. The good news about the FIA Motorsport Games is that we don't have to do it every 4 years. We can do it next year, and we look forward to seeing how the event will grow and get the sunshine booked in. Here is the medals table. Russia beats Italy and Australia. 3 medals to Russia, a gold and 2 bronze, a gold and a bronze to Italy, a gold and a bronze to Australia. And then it's 1 medal apiece to the Netherlands, the Ukraine, Japan, Belgium, Germany, Costa Rica, the Czech Republic, Poland, Finland, Slovakia. That one table alone illustrates what we're saying about the global spread of motorsport, the global reach of this competition.
The family of motorsport.
Absolutely right, and they've all come together, some in many disciplines, others in just 1 or 2 this weekend, to be part of a brand new event put together by the SRO Motorsports Group with the FIA and it has been a huge success. And the Japanese drivers, who are being encouraged to a press conference, are busy celebrating with pretty much everybody here in the paddock. They make their way for yet more photographs, but they can pretty much cope with anything right now, because the feeling of victory means that they are on cloud nine as they make their way up to the press conference. Let's just recap the race results once more. Japan from Poland from Australia. You've seen the drivers on the podium. France taking fourth, and remember, it is an amended result in a sense because of the penalty to Belgium, so up to fourth France. Fifth China. Now there's a result that came out of nowhere because that car was in the walls in race 2. It was yo-yoing up and down the order early on. Sixth after being condemned to start from the pit lane, Hong Kong. Seventh Russia, repaired car after a crash in race 2. Eighth America, that was turned around early in the race. Ninth with the penalty go to Belgium. 10th to Portugal, and then a lap down Malaysia, that had a spin. 12th, really disappointing weekend for Salih Yoluch and Ayhan Guven ahead of the Talkanitsas for Belarus. Q8 having another spin. 14th, and Britain with an extra pit stop really struggling in 15th position, but at least it got to the end in GB, whereas we lost Germany into the gravel. Damage did for Switzerland, a big off for Thailand, damage also for Italy. Mechanical woes, gearbox did for Chinese Taipei. Spain we never quite got to the bottom of, but that was an early retirement, having been involved in an incident with Italy, so you can pretty much put your money on damage doing for the Raton Lamborghini as well. So Japan victorious. As we look back at the best bits of the race, it began with a proper start on a just about dry circuit. Some people, as you see, bailing for the pit lane to put slick tyres on, and away from the line, Andrei Lewandowski took over the race lead, but it wasn't long before a hard charging Hiroshi Hamaguchi was all over him like a rash. The cars swarmed their way down through the Curva Grande for the first time. Really brave efforts by Enrique Chavez round the outside, gaining places for Portugal. This was the view of Louis Machiels for Belgium. It was a crowded house ahead of him as it was Lamborghini, Porsche, but he also had to work hard to fend off that battle pack behind as they swept down through turns 2 and 3 for the first time. It wasn't long before the drama started, with Christoph Lenz getting into Robert Ferriol and turning him around, damage to the Swiss Lamborghini, but America recovering for 8th place in spite of all of that. Okio Sasahara, with the headset on, watched Lenz go off a second time, this time with rather more damage into the barriers at turn 11. He got ready for his stint in the car, but the rain was starting to come. Spots of rain on windscreens as the cars on slick tyres still have the advantage. Gianluca Roda, for example, for Italy on slicks, was absolutely scything his way through the field, picking off cars left and right and centre while the track was at its driest. Others slithering off the road, they just did not have the grip, but then, bang, he got a tag. That turned him around, got back in the race. Amazingly, despite going off the road there, didn't lose a huge amount of time, but worse was to come. When actually, the incident that did for him was self-induced. Tyre stop for Chinese Taipei, but then gearbox problems put them out of the race. This was Gianluca Roda recovering and getting the places back again, sweeping around the outside of Portugal, so Italy making progress, but then coming out of turn 10, suddenly the grip level changed. The car just snapped away, off the road went Roda. It was a big whack on the right front, he dragged it back to the pit lane, but AF Corsa said, no, basta, enough is enough. Then a spin for Malaysia, around went the Earl Bamber Motorsport run Porsche, and that was just before the pit window opened. Those that could came in early, including Japan, so Hiroshi Hamaguchi put Okio Sasahara into the car as spinning out of a new race lead was Thailand. Off the road went Vutakun Inthrapuvasak. Into the pits, Paul Ip to give way to Marchi Lee in a car that ultimately would finish in 6th place, the Hong Kong Honda NSX. Back into the race went Sasahara with a mighty lead, but then 2 safety car periods would change that. The first of them coming in order to get the Thailand Porsche out of the gravel, the second being because of the weather conditions, and we never got the race really back underway after that. So Japan in the lead all the way through that second stint in the race, preserving the advantage right the way to the end as the cars battle their way towards the line. Contacts against Germany did for Belgium. A penalty made worse, of course, by the fact that with the cars all bunched up behind the safety car, a time penalty was even more damning. Verdonk did well, going off the road there in avoidance of a spinning Q80 car. Canada would have off coming out of turn 2, but 14th he would be for Q8. Checkered flag flew. Japan just released for the photographs up to the checkered flag from behind the safety car, but under controlled conditions, everybody taking a ceremonial finish. Japan wins the GT Cup within the FIA Motorsport Games. And the celebrations began as Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Andrea Caldarelli embraced. They saw the car come over the timing line, confirmed as the victor. It's been to the podium, medals have been presented, all good in the FFF Racing camp. Yet another weekend, yet more success for this all-conquering Lamborghini squad this year. The celebrations for Japan, Polish flag is there, the other nations represented on the podium, Poland along with Australia. Japan wins the GT Cup main race here in the FIA Motorsport Games. The winning nation, however, is Russia. The closing ceremony is not far away from starting, but it really has been a superb weekend of motorsport, be it GT racing, single-seaters or touring cars, be it digital, drifting or karting here in Italy. And there, as the drivers celebrated, the champagne sprayed for Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Ukyo Sasahara. Japan scoring honours in the GT Cup. The result based purely on that main race, the two qualifying races determining the grid. So winner takes all, and Japan, Poland, Australia. A podium maybe that would have been pretty hard to predict at the start of the weekend, but the top three that we have in the very end here at Vallelunga. Congratulations to the winning nations. At the end of a great weekend here, from John Watson and David Anderson, it's goodbye.